Good morning.
Meeting of the Employee Forum. So we're going to kick things off. I see Chancellor Guskiewicz is with us this morning. Hi, Kevin. How are you?
Hi, Katie. Good to see everyone. It's great to be with you all.
So we'll go ahead and get started with our roundtable with Kevin. So any updates you have for us, and then we'll turn to questions.
Great. Well, first of all, it's great to see everyone. And on this kind of dreary day here, we don't see a Carolina blue sky today. I'm not sure we're going to, but still a lot of great things happening here on campus. We are continuing to move forward on progress with Carolina Next, Innovations for Public Good, and really focusing on three priorities right now that I announced early in the fall semester, and really proud of some of the progress we're making. Those three priorities are centered around career development, promoting democracy, and ensuring that Carolina maintains its status as a research and innovation powerhouse. And it takes an incredible team to allow us to do all of that, and to be able to ensure that that all of our employees at Carolina see opportunities to participate. We will be sending a survey out to our deans on these three initiatives very soon. I announced this at our cabinet meeting a few weeks ago. I want to hear how, what's happening, at the level of the departments and schools on these initiatives, so that we can make adjustments where needed, perhaps have units partner where certain things are working in one unit and maybe another unit struggling a bit. So that's going to be the next step. Just a few things, to dig a little deeper into the sort of where we are, on career development, career advancement. I did charge a new working group last week, and the goal of that group is to consider the essential career and personal development experiences that our Carolina students need for life beyond UNC. It's comprised of a devoted group of professors, administrators, alumni, current students, and staff, and board of trustee members, a few trustee members. And they're going to start by surveying the work that's already happening on our campus, so we can build on the good work that's happening out there around these career services opportunities. And again, our employees, staff play an important role in this. But we're not just focused on students with this initiative, and I want to be clear about that. We're also dedicated to supporting you, our staff here at Carolina. As I've already said, you make it possible for us to carry out our mission of teaching, research, and service. And I really want to do everything that we can to retain our top talent, and provide, as you've heard me say before, these sight lines for opportunities here at Carolina, so that our staff see opportunities to move into new and exciting roles on our campus. And we're going to begin a process to implement a formal leadership development and organizational planning process. And I've been working alongside Vice Chancellor Menghini on this, and others. And so this is just going to help us to develop a pipeline for leadership that's going to be, I think, important, so that we can see that and really experience that growth from within. On the Promoting Democracy initiative, I also charged a new committee just this past Monday, just 2 days ago, on academic freedom and free expression. And the goal here is to find ways to address the issues facing our society in a way that everyone's voice on our campus can be respectfully heard. We want to shine a light on our research and expertise, and that can help inform policymakers, legislators, and others who are called to make important decisions, policy decisions. And so I think that that's the role of a leading global public research university, to provide that input and to ensure that everyone's voice is at the table. So it'll be neat to see, how this work evolves. This committee will advise me and other senior leaders on some of the critical issues that we face, that society's facing, and give ideas for advancing academic freedom and articulating free speech norms and best practices for our community. And there'll be a website that will provide updates on the work of the committee, and resources for members of the community to help them work through issues around free speech and academic freedom. Finally, I'm excited that we were able to increase graduate student stipends. I mentioned this at the Board of Trustees meeting last week. This is the largest single increase that we've been able to provide for graduate students, and that will go into effect in this coming summer. We're also developing plans to build out some new graduate research and innovation space. I said at the trustee meeting last week that as a faculty member here for nearly 28 years, I see the value. I've experienced firsthand the importance of top tier graduate students, and we have to do everything to be able to recruit the very best graduate students here. They are an important, a critical link between our undergraduate students and our research enterprise. They serve various functions, very critically important functions in teaching and research. And so we're excited to be able to support them in these important ways. And then finally, I'll just add that, as you may know, we welcomed the early decision applicants for the class of 2027 on Friday. And you may have heard the cheers and excitement from your office, from your neighborhoods, as many students, prospective students, received good news about the opportunity to join the Carolina community. And so I just again want to take this opportunity to thank you for all that you do, and I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Excellent. Thanks, Kevin. Opening up the floor for questions for Chancellor Guskiewicz. Well, while people are getting warmed up, I guess I'll go ahead and start us off. So your team has been working pretty closely with Town of Chapel Hill recently around the affordable housing area. We're having Gordon Merkline come and talk to us next month about some of the efforts there. I know the survey that U3 sent out just closed yesterday, so that's exciting that that's happening. I just wanted to get your take on a recent article in the Chronicle of Higher Education about an effort at a Virginia college to pay $10,000 towards the purchase of a home. And I'm putting the link in the chat. Do you think something like that is a feasible avenue for a university of this size to incentivize staff and faculty to come to this area?
Say a little, I missed that Chronicle article.
I just put the link in the chat, and it's a program at Virginia State University in Virginia to pay $10,000 towards closing costs or a down payment for a new home to incentivize folks staying and moving closer to the area, which is an exciting, intriguing program.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at it. And I know that many universities like us are trying to find ways to incentivize employees, faculty, and staff to join the community, and it is difficult. It's becoming increasingly more expensive here in the region, as we know, and we've looked at these data around affordable housing through a survey that was conducted through a consultant, not a survey, but really a consultant that came in and did some work for us to look at options for affordable housing. We know that about 60% of our employees, and I think I've mentioned this to employee forum before, drive in and out of Orange County to get to and from work each day of our employees. And that's in large part, I think, probably because of the limited housing and affordable housing. So again, Becci knows better than any of us what some of the restrictions and limitations are on what we can provide employees to incentivize them. But I certainly, if that's an option that could be considered, we would put it on the table. Becci, I don't know if you have any thoughts. I mean, we do have, in terms of covering moving expenses, we have some, I think, comparable benefits for employees that we're trying to hire, but I'm not sure this would be a new one.
Yeah, this one is new. It is something that has come up at the system office for discussion. This would be considered non-salary compensation. So there's some rules around it. There's some approval levels. Something of this grandeur would require Board of Governors approval. So I will tell you that there are broader conversations about incentives for sort of the full offerings, whether it's, how we address employees' needs to have balance. So housing is one of them. It's not the only one, but there are conversations happening. My gut is this would be a ways off in approval. That is entirely my gut. That is not based on anything other than sort of the spirit of those conversations. But I will tell you that those of us from Chapel Hill continue to talk about the need to have some added flexibility, whether it be a program like this or some ability to sort of help ensure employees, whether they're coming to us from elsewhere or they're here and want to stay, some ways to keep them and have a means for them to live closer to where they work.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks you both. We've got a question in the chat. Tiffany Carver, I think she's driving. Can you give us any info about the School of Civic Life and Leadership? I guess the one discussed in Board of Trustees last week.
So, as I said in my campus message on Friday, and then again at the faculty executive committee meeting on Monday, there is if something like this is to take shape, there's a lot of planning still in front of us. The provost will be in the next week appointing a working group around this. We have as I mentioned on Monday in my comments, we have a general education curriculum oversight committee that will an elected group of faculty members that would be involved with this, along with the dean of arts and sciences and or his designees. So there's still a lot of work on this, and whether it's this really is, as I understand it, the provost's been working with others to look to build out this capacity that is still part of the gen ed curriculum that we've just launched. And so if this is a way in which we can do that, whether it's a program, a school, whatever it is, it'll be driven by the faculty and the senior leadership, most likely in the College of Arts and Sciences, and perhaps from the Program for Public Discourse, the faculty that are engaged there. So lots of planning still out in front.
Other questions? No?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be with you this morning, and wish you a good rest of your meeting and rest of the week. I'm going to stick around for a little while before I have to jump over to my next meeting, which is driving down to Chatham County to see some innovation space that we are going to be partnering with a team down there on. So maybe some of you have an opportunity to visit us down there at some point in the near future. I think there's a lot of exciting opportunities down at Chatham Park that we're looking at through collaborations.
Excellent. Thanks so much again, Kevin.
Thank you.
All right, moving to our next special presentation. We have Associate Director Laura Mangili from Campus Rec here to talk to us about opportunities for staff to participate in various Campus Rec initiatives. Do we have Lauren on the call yet? Not yet. Okay, well, we're going to skip ahead and do some kind of business. I'm going to skip around here. Consent agenda. We sent January minutes around separately to delegates earlier this week. Do I hear a motion to approve our consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve.
And I
Okay.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, the consent agenda passes. Let's see here. Announcements. We have an upcoming Vice Chancellor Representatives meeting this coming Thursday, February 9th from 10 to 11 a.m. Matt sent around a reminder earlier this week to submit your questions for Becci and our various trustee Vice Chancellors. So be sure to respond if you want to ask a question at that meeting. All right. Okay, human resources updates. We're going to move to that. We're going to welcome Becci to share some updates with us. Welcome, Becci.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see you. I don't have a big list of things, though I know our colleagues are here to talk a little bit about the EHRA bonus program. I know we spent some time talking about the SHRA bonus program previously. And Kevin mentioned sort of the efforts we're making on the career development piece. I know sometimes it doesn't really feel like we're moving super fast on some of these things. And many of you have asked some questions about what does this mean about career banding and where are we in range setting. As you know, we're not entirely in control of all of those things, but we have been advocating for a number of really what we think are important tools in our toolbox to recruit and retain our best employees. Retention and sign-on bonuses are among those. This is the first time the state has made those available to university employees. We're working through the process to ensure that we have mechanisms in place to provide for these bonuses. There are, as with every thing that comes from the state, rules that we must follow to put those in play. But we're especially pleased to note that they were able to come up with a bonus structure, one that both provides bonuses for SHRA and EHRA employees. As you all well know, I often come to this group and say, this is something that's available for EHRA employees, or this is something that's available for SHRA employees. And it's not often we get something that's available for both. The rules for each are different, but the good news is there is a bonus program that is available to both SHRA employees and EHRA employees. And I'm going to let the team talk about that in a little bit. We don't have any legislative updates at this point in time on the sort of matter of bigger picture stuff. With the system office, we continue to be in conversation about what may be happening related to career banding in the state system. It does, by all accounts, look as if the system office is going to be able to update ranges with an outside consultant separate and apart from using the OSHR consultants. We're still waiting for more detail on what that looks like. We anticipate we will have a seat at that table. We will provide more information as we have it. But the good news about that is that ranges for SHRA employees would get updated faster than if we waited through the state. I don't want to mislead anyone into thinking this is going to be a very fast process. Typically, it's an 18-month process to get the ranges updated. That's with an outside vendor who works with us to look at the market rates across the state and across the country for the various types of positions. But we know, as you all do, just how desperately these are needed in the SHRA space in particular. And we anticipate seeing some movement there. And we owe a huge debt of thanks to the system office for being able to advocate with OSHR that the university system needed the authority to do that on our own, such that we can retain folks. So that's the big news on that front. On the EHRA side, we are working, as you all know, on a project to have the ranges updated. Up until a year ago, UNC-Chapel Hill had management flexibility, which meant we had the authority to update our ranges with an outside consultant and have them approved by the system office. We no longer have that authority in exchange for losing for not having to have as many transactions go to the system office. They now assume the responsibility for setting the ranges, and then we have the ability to manage more transactions locally. Some would see that as a negative thing. I actually don't think there's any reason to see it as a negative thing. We are at the table. We're part of those discussions. We're working with the outside consultant. I don't expect we'll see much change in how that function works. And we're still very much in the conversation with them. That is probably another 14 months out, I would guess, at this point in time. Best guesses. As you well know, working with outside consultants, and like the system office is arranging all of these agreements. We're at the table, but we're not the ones negotiating the deals. So I'd guess 14 months on EHRA, probably 24 months on SHRA. With any luck, faster on the latter. We're trying everything we can to push as hard as we can on getting the SHRA ranges updated sooner rather than later. Many of you have asked sort of where we stand on providing some additional updates to the housekeepers related to career banding. There have been some specific questions there. There are a number of conversations that have already taken place. There are also some sessions set up specifically to talk about career banding with the housekeepers in mid-February. I think those are happening the 13th, 14th that week. And then any additional updates to salaries will talk directly to the employees before we relate anything to this body. But we continue to work, as we've outlined previously, on the long range plan to try to do whatever adjustments we have authority for in that unit. I think those are my updates. Somebody's asking seemingly restrictive salary bands for the business officer conversion on the EHRA non-faculty designation. Linc, I know you've been addressing this one internally. We've asked a number of questions. We've not made much progress on making further adjustments with the conversion, but maybe you want to make a comment on the EHRA non-faculty conversion, or if Vanessa's on, one of the two of you can jump on that.
Yeah, I've texted Vanessa to see if she's able to log on a little early, given that the schedule is now running ahead of time. I think she was scheduled for 10 a.m. to provide her update on the bonus program. You've hit it on the head, Becky. We've been in conversation with the system office pretty frequently about the salary ranges, as well as some of the educational qualifications and the challenges we've been having on that. If there's specifics, Chrissy, like specific titles in particular that you are concerned about, why don't you shoot me a message and I'll be happy to dig into those more directly. But we continue to provide feedback, as do other schools in the system, on the areas where we feel like the pain points are.
So I know Vanessa's not yet here, but I believe Jessica is. So if we want to jump to wellness updates, I can defer to her unless others have questions for me. Oh,
I have a little question, Becky.
yep.
This is little. It has nothing to do with career banding. It's great. I have an assistant. He started last September. He never got onboarded in terms of getting an ID badge. And I realized I don't know who's responsible for that these days, in the days of COVID and with the badge offices moving around. But since it is something I'm trying to figure out on behalf of my department of management, blah, 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 how do new employees get onboarded now in terms of all the things they need to know that are Carolina? It's been 20 years since I was, so.
We are still doing new employee orientation on the regular, and the employees should have done that. If not, they should work with their employee and management relations liaison, and they can help connect you to the appropriate resources, and including the one card office. And
Right.
I know Anjanette's on the phone or on the call. If you want to correct me on any of that, Anjanette, by all means.
Absolutely, I'll jump in there, Becky.
Okay.
Just to clarify my question, it's less about, hey, was this, it's more about, is it on managers or people like me now that supervise these people to make sure it gets done? Because I had thought it just went through a department that I didn't even notice he wasn't wearing one.
Yeah, that should all be addressed during the new employee orientation process as they onboard. And then if they have additional challenges, once they're through that process, certainly their local HR officer or HR representative can help them get to the places that they need to be. But yeah, typically we try to coordinate all of that at the beginning when they come through NEO. To kind of get all that stuff out of the way. So I'm a little surprised to hear that he wasn't able to get his, or he didn't get his for whatever reason.
It's just one of those things that there doesn't seem to be a safety net for, but I'm building my new employee checklist since this could fall on me. And we'll just make sure that I'm just bringing this to people's attention. I realized I was not sure if things had changed. Plus, from my end, I want to make sure that people see that there are gaps potentially. Thanks.
And this
Thank
is
you.
Anjanette. Typically, and I'm just kind of speaking from experience, what I do when new employees come on board as my orientation, I just go down that checklist and say, okay, do you have your one card? Do you have everything that you need? And if they don't, I'll drive them over and actually let them get the things that they need. So though they should be getting a lot of this during the new employee orientation, it just might want to be something that you might think about, as a manager to double check and make sure that they have those things.
Thanks, Anjanette. I mean,
You're
that clarifies
welcome.
whether there's anything that's changed, and so I see that there isn't. And I think that it's just this is an artifact of COVID taking our HR specialist entirely remote. And that we're also
Absolutely.
school of medicine. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Sure. Thanks.
Rebecca, your hand's up.
I have a kind of a two-part question regarding insurance updates. I know that the appeals court just recently heard the arguments because the treasurer appealed the decision of the district court on the coverage of gender affirming care. And I'm curious if that decision is overturned, will that impact insurance coverage during this plan year? Or will it only be impacting coverage for the next plan year? If the district court decision is overturned and gender affirming care can be excluded. So that's part one. Part two is whether or not and I don't know that you'll have an answer, but I would like to have an answer. If that gender affirming care piece was part of the RFP and how decisions were made in selecting a new carrier.
So I cannot answer the latter question. The RFP is put out by the State Health Plan Board, and there is a board that makes decisions. The treasurer does not make the decision in and of himself. That is an important fact, apparently, as you follow some of the court hearings, because as you likely know, the treasurer and Blue Cross Blue Shield had been in a series of conflicts about a number of issues related to care. And some of the arguments Blue Cross Blue Shield was making was that the treasurer made this decision on his own. One of the alternate points that was made, I haven't followed this enough. I mean, I don't keep track enough and don't have strong feelings about the politics, but one of the alternate points that was made is that it is not the treasurer's decision to make. It does go back. The governance on this is to a full board. They put out the RFP. I don't know what was in there for gender affirming care. I will tell you the university has been, through the system office has said that we believe that we need to have gender affirming care in our healthcare plan. And we have provided that insight to the system office. At least some of us informally have, but I don't know how that message works and what was in the RFP. In terms of my understanding about if the rule is overturned, it would impact us. My understanding is that it is the next plan year, though I would defer to our attorneys who've been tracking that a little bit closer than I have.
Okay, is that information that we can get to the employee from it? And I ask because it's a very huge part of my concerns about working in North Carolina. That type of care is exceptionally expensive, partly because UNC Hospital bills improperly. I'm dealing with that on a different level. But I'm also concerned because the gender clinic at UNC Hospital has had to remove their website. It is no longer up, which makes me very nervous about care for my child, and being a state employee and not knowing whether or not I'm going to be able to cover my kids' care without leaving the state or leaving state employment. So it is a huge deal for me. I know other parents who work at Carolina, it's also a huge deal for them. And so having some more transparency and information about that process without me having to go dig up that information would be really helpful.
Absolutely. I totally get that. I candidly, Linc, you can jump in here. I don't know where we get more information at this point in time.
Okay.
I think what we've asked for out of the state health plan and what we know is sort of what you know at this point in time. Our benefits folks have been in touch with the benefits folks there. They sort of keep saying this is all we know at this point at the system office. But we can certainly see what we can dig up and see if we can find more information. I admit, I'm just going to openly admit what I don't know at this point in time. And that is I'm not exactly sure where to go to get the right information, but I'll see what we can find out. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
David.
Thank you. This would be directed to Becci. We're hearing that it's going to be several more years before career banding is updated. Is there going to be any administration push to get people who are currently below market rate and have been for several years to at least a market rate? I can tell you, people have approached me. We have working homeless at the university, people making $45,000 that are living in a tent. A local church representative I know said about 40 to 50% of their users of their food pantry are university employees. Our employees are homeless, our employees are hungry, and most of us can't afford to work for the university much longer.
Yeah, I mean, I think you raise a really important point, and one that I think we all are paying attention to, and part of why I said there's a focus on trying to get those ranges updated sooner rather than later. We did, as many of you likely know, we received money from the state as part of the labor market adjustment reserve. That money was intended to bring people who were below market rates up to closer to market ranges. Units were asked to deploy those based on information that we pulled from the system on how far they were below the market rates. Carolina, quite frankly, is much closer to the existing market, has more employees closer to the existing market rates than many of our peers. And so figuring out how to best utilize that money was somewhat of a challenge, but that money was made available to units to try to get them closer to existing market rates. Now, the key there is existing market rates. So those are dated. So we have to get people there. But if they're already below dated rates, that's a real problem. So the money was rolled out with the intention of getting people closer to those numbers, with the hopes that we would help address some of this problem up to and until we're able to address the ranges. I like you don't think that's entirely satisfactory, but I'm not going to turn down one step in the right direction. And that is what we said we would do. And we did put in place several $1 million across the institution to try to raise many employees closer to the market rates. And I think the number was just over 3 million, if I recall correctly.
Jacob, I see your hands up, but real quick, just want to bring something forward from the chat. Teresa commented, Becci, I'm very appreciative of the long overdue update to the banding ranges. Will there be any funding resources that come with those changes? I ask this because increasing the ranges is absolutely wonderful, but there has to be funding for them to make a difference for the employees. This may not be an issue for some departments, but I know that it is for others. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think Kevin established a staff retention fund here at the university to cover things like this for departments that may not have the funding. Is that correct?
There were some resources put in for staff retention. To be honest with you, we've made a pretty good dent in those. I think the goal is to find a mechanism to make them recurring. And the bad news about having a runway before we see the ranges increase is that it's going to be a while before we're able to put money in the pockets of employees. The good news about that is we can build for it in our budget cycles. So as many of your units probably presented to the budget committee in the last couple of weeks, I know they just finished those meetings yesterday with 30 some different units. Everybody's been putting forth their budget expectations and making plans. We, as a result of that, the center has a better understanding of where the resources are and are not in order to manage some of these things. I think we'll continue to pay attention to that. And I think it's fair to say every meeting I'm in, I'm very honest with Kevin and Chris and Nate about not all units. The banding issue is just one part of the issue. Not all units have the resources. We have to prepare for that. Some of that's at the center. Some of it's helping units plan and realign. It really, to use Dean Ramona Denby-Brinson's term, it's braiding of resources that we have to do and plan for in order to be able to ensure that when those ranges change, we have the resources to go ahead and make the adjustments necessary.
Jacob.
Yeah, thank you again, Becci. I know this is an uncomfortable seat. My question actually was more of kind of a clarifying point that you were talking about market ranges. And I feel like we've had this discussion before, so I just kind of want to basically clarify and see if my memory is accurate.
Yeah.
Is that further compounded by the fact that we have a higher cost of living in this particular area? Because I know that we're closer to market rate than other constituent members of the university system. However, we also know that the cost of living in Orange County and I'm sure UNC-Charlotte has similar issues because they also have a very tough market. is it because the banding and the market rates are not only outdated, but also statewide?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So you're right in many respects. So the bands do not consider cost of living in an individual area formally, but they are intended to be bands with the idea that at Western Carolina, most of their people may be at 80% of market. Well, at UNC-Chapel Hill, we may be at 102% of market. And that is because it's intended that the band is supposed to allow us to manage cost of living. Whether that's a successful argument is a fair question, but that is the way they have been framed. So that is part of it. And then and I will tell you that in the conversations about setting market ranges in the EHRA meetings, because we're a little further along with the EHRA than we are with SHRA, we've been talking about the role of cost of living. And they have been the consultants have been looking at that and are trying to figure out whether they can either expand the bands or think about ranges, like multiple additional bands for a classification, so that places like Chapel Hill or Charlotte or even NC State could do a little bit more, have a little bit more flexibility within those. So they are talking about it, but generally in the standard class and compensation setup and the way they determine market rates, it is not, you generally don't use the region as part of it. So they're figuring out how, but more places are asking for this outside of our own industry. So they're now trying to figure out what is the appropriate algorithm to account for that and also be something that's useful across organizations. I will also tell you that the breadth of these jobs look different at places that have large research enterprises. So there is also some discussion about doing more tiering of the campuses. So State and Chapel Hill may be a tier 1, Charlotte, ECU, and a handful of others might be a tier 2, and then there may be 3 tiers of organizations, and the ranges may differ across the tier. So I think it's fair to say they're looking at this in lots of ways, noting that the jobs, while it might be business officer, a business officer in some of our departments is actually assuming more business officer duties than some of the business officers for full schools in some of these smaller institutions. And how we use the same market for both plays itself out. And some of that is built into the current structure. I think people have across the system have said, we want a little bit more of that in the new structure. Again, without knowing that we're moving out of a structure or into anything new, right now they're just looking at bands, but I think there's some discussion about how do we look at bands and then anticipate whatever comes next. I don't know if that's clarifying or not, but I hope it's a little bit helpful to let you know that we're at least thinking about the very things you're talking about.
Great, thanks, Becky.
Yeah.
Elizabeth.
Wow, my question's not about banding or salary. And I know this may be complicated and there may not be a simple answer, but I've got to ask it. And please understand, I know my manager is working on this, but still, I just really want to ask. There's retention for me, but if I get down to being a team of 1, which no research department anywhere should be, what do I do about this sense that I keep hearing that a position that was filled can't be rehired for because we don't have the funding? So this isn't retention for a staff. This is retaining a position. I just found out somebody's applying to medical school, which is no surprise because the way human resources currently, and they're working on it, currently have a threshold for who gets considered for a research assistant position means they have to have a bachelor's degree. So we're working with Durham Tech to change that. But in the meanwhile, how can I help my shrinking department keep from shrinking any further? Just the number of positions and keeping it open and hiring in a reasonable way so that somebody's getting onboarded before the other guy leaves.
totally fair question, and one that I'm not sure without a little bit more context I can answer, but I certainly think there are plenty of my colleagues on the phone here who would be happy to sort of have a broader discussion. I think the key is, unit leadership across the institution is making decisions about what they can and can't afford for various reasons. And sometimes we need to be more honest about whether we can afford something. If we take away the people that do the work, that doesn't mean that the work itself goes away. So how is it that we still accomplish those tasks? And having honest conversations about duties, the responsibilities of the unit and their mission and objectives, and then where the dollars go, making sure that those conversations are thoughtful and including all of the facts are key. That's not something that every person in the unit always gets to participate in, but I think having honest conversations about what it takes to successfully achieve the mission of the unit, and what sort of people it takes to do that is really important. And any way you can advocate for yourself or your colleagues is a big part of that. But likewise, we can certainly have some discussions with you about sort of the specifics of the case and see if there's anything more we can do to help.
Yeah, thank you, Becci. I'm particularly mindful that the Chancellor opened up his dialogue with an emphasis on quality and research. And really, if any department, not just mine, gets to the point where they're in science fiction mode about how this work is going to get done with research on human subjects, some of whom are in vulnerable populations, there's got to be a threshold. There's got to be, it can be no smaller than X, Y, or Z, or somebody may get injured in a research project. We really don't want that.
Yeah, certainly thinking about the well-being, in your case of human subjects, is a really important part of all of that balancing and making determinations as a unit, for sure.
A few questions in the chat. We've got, what is the process for reclassification or reviewing a position, and how much time does this take for EHRA non-faculty roles?
Linc, or I don't know if Vanessa's on yet. Linc, do you want to address that one?
I actually am on, Becci.
Oh, excellent.
I will defer to Linc if he wants to take it. It's up to him.
Either way, Vanessa, if you want to start, I'll chime in.
Okay. All right. So we have EHRA positions, and it's similar to EHRA in that we have authority, fortunately, for most of those positions. So any of your positions that are instructional research, IT, audit, business, and finance, we have the authority to review and classify or reclassify those positions based on the criteria that's established by the Board of Governors. So those reviews typically, and I came on when I'm hearing that there's a lot of folks who are short-staffed and there's an increased volume all across the world, at least the world of UNC. And so typically a review like that would take probably around 3 to 5 days, right? We're looking at the position and we're making sure that it satisfies the criteria for EHRA classification. There are other positions that are our senior academic administrative officers, tier 1, which are our vice chancellors, our deans, and our tier 2 positions, which are, associate vice chancellors, associate and assistant deans, that we do not have delegated authority for. And those positions actually have to be reviewed and approved by the UNC system office, HR there, and the president. And so those take a little bit longer because we do have to send those out external to campus for review. In addition to their review, the Office of State Human Resources also has a small piece in that review. So for those positions, I think we will be looking at typically, probably at the best, about a 2-week turnaround for a review or reclassification of a position like that.
Great. Thank you so much, Vanessa. So before we turn to Vanessa's presentation, I think there was one last question in the chat for Becci and her team. When will HR start hiring housekeepers for 2nd and 3rd shift? We have positions that have been open for 2 years and staff can't keep working under these conditions.
I have to admit, James, you know, we've had lots of conversations with our colleagues in finance and administration. You all have been part of a lot of those conversations. I don't know directly where these positions fit in their overall hiring plan. We rely on the unit HR to tell us what's coming, and we approve things as they come. This is a question that you'd have to direct toward Tracy Agnew and her team, I think, first. And if you run into trouble, by all means, give us a shout. But this one needs to go to the unit first.
All right, so let's move to Vanessa's presentation. Thanks so much for being with us today, Vanessa. Vanessa is here to talk to us about the EHRA bonus program. So I'll let you take it away.
Okay, Katie, could you or someone give me ability to share, please? Okay, great, thank you. Okay, are you guys seeing EHRA bonus program? I hope. Yes, looks like I'm sharing. Okay, great. All right, so I love to be able to have the privilege to talk about something, and I'm not putting my camera on just because sometimes there's a little bit of conflict with being visible and also speaking. So I want you guys to be able to hear this because the program is really exciting. I love that I'm able to share with you something that we and HR and campus has wanted to have in place for quite some time. And so you are likely, my colleague Adam has probably come to talk to you all about the the SHRA bonus program. And so we were a little bit behind in getting the EHRA program in place, but it is now active. And so you guys are able to, your departments are able to utilize it as budget permits and as you guys see fit with the appropriate approvals. Okay, so who's eligible for the program? So individuals who are candidates or employees who are in permanent EHRA positions. So that's pretty simple, right? But of course, with most things, there have to be a few caveats. And so an individual who has received notice of end of their employment, an employee who does not have at least meeting expectations on their annual performance appraisal, or if they are in a position where an alternate performance appraisal is in play, then they have to be deemed in good standing. An employee who is under a performance improvement plan, or of course, someone who is no longer actively employed with the university. For sign-on and retention bonuses, the candidate must not have worked for the university as a permanent EHRA employee in the last 12 months. So we have already started to receive questions about, if I am in department or school A and I move to school B, am I eligible for a sign-on bonus? And if that individual is working in school A in a permanent EHRA position, they would not be eligible for a sign-on bonus. Individual or the employee must work at least 20 hours per week. And an employee may receive either one sign-on bonus or one retention bonus within a 24-month period. So, if an individual is hired tomorrow and they receive a sign-on bonus, then we would need to wait for a 24-month period before that individual would be eligible to receive a retention bonus. Having the retention or a sign-on bonus does not preclude an individual from receiving a performance bonus. And so let me just say really quickly, so I said that the SHRA folks got a little bit ahead of us with getting the bonus program in play. One additional benefit or feature of the EHRA bonus program is that it also offers a performance bonus possibility or option, which is fantastic. That is not available for SHRA. And so if an individual receives a sign-on bonus or retention bonus, and they are also stellar and exceptional performers, then they also may be eligible to receive a performance bonus. The question will likely come up in chat. It's like, can someone, so I will go ahead and address it now. Can someone who has received an annual raise process, so a bonus in that process, that's what just occurred recently, could someone also be eligible for a performance bonus under this program? And the answer is yes. But the idea of this performance bonus is that it is going to be very limited in that it is a higher bar for being eligible to receive that performance bonus. And retention bonus does not preclude an individual from also receiving a retention salary increase. So that's a good thing, right? Because there may be a circumstance, which we actually have one going on right now, where an individual has received an external offer. The department really can't permanently match that offer. But what they're looking to do is give some amount towards the retention offer, and then put an additional amount in retention, in a retention bonus, in hopes of retaining that employee. And then, of course, an individual for performance can only receive one of those per year. So the different reasons or options for receiving a bonus, sign-on bonuses, and those of you, we have HR folks on here will probably be familiar with this from SHRA. So sign-on bonus is a specific job classification. And so this will be a situation where there are positions that are critical to the university, right? And there's a labor market shortage, and not being able to hire candidates into those positions. So this may touch on some of the questions from earlier. So we need to have those folks in play. I think someone was talking about potential injury to research subjects if we don't have those individuals in place. So we would look at the job classification, perhaps it's research associate medical, and then we'd say, yes, indeed, those positions are critical. Yes, there is a labor market shortage. And if we don't hire those folks, we would not be able to deliver the services that the university needs to provide. And that is when you are doing a sign-on bonus for multiple positions in that classification. There is the option for a sign-on bonus for an individual person. And so again, we're talking about the position being critical to the university's mission. And I would say probably all of us believe that our positions are critical to the university's mission. So you would want to work with your EHRA HR consultant to really kind of dig in deep to understand, where is this position critical, and is there a labor market shortage for this particular skill set and experience. And then again, the inability to deliver services if we are not able to attract that individual to the university. So, and then finally, sign-on bonus can be used in lieu of a moving allowance. And so, we do have the ability to offer a relocation allowance or payment for an individual joining the university. So we could decide to offer the sign-on bonus, and we'll see in a moment that the sign-on bonus is more than the moving allowance typically. And so a department might decide we'd like to utilize that option instead of moving allowance. Now it is, so that's important to understand. However, you would not be able to utilize both a sign-on bonus and a moving allowance. It would be one in lieu of the other. Okay. Retention bonus criteria, like the sign-on bonuses, we have the specific job classification. And so this is, if you think back to the situation or the example that I was just discussing, we have a group of employees in a specific job classification, right? And so we have in this prior instance, we have offered sign-on bonuses to attract new folks to the university. But now we have these individuals who are doing exactly the same work, who are in the same job classification, who are saying, wait, what about me? These new folks got the sign-on bonuses. So what can you offer and what can you do for me? So the policy provides for departments to now say, since we have provided sign-on bonuses for this job classification, we can now provide retention bonuses for individuals in that same classification or in a specific job classification as well. So 2 instances: one, a specific job classification where we have similar circumstances, market, mission critical, offering a retention bonus to all individuals in your department in that specific job classification. Now, I do want to say, because we had a question come up where, a department said, well, can I just offer retention bonuses to everybody in my department? So we can't utilize it in that fashion. It does have to be job class specific. And then we have a situation for an individual person where an individual, this is what I was talking about earlier. So an individual has been offered a sign-on bonus. This is your new hire. We have a person doing similar work, the same critical work in the same school or division. Then we could then offer a retention bonus to that individual. And then the situation that you guys are familiar with, we have someone who is likely to leave the university. They have those critical skills, talents, and we want to retain them. And so this would be instead of, or in addition to, a permanent retention increase, this would be a retention bonus. And then we have tied to a specific special initiative. And this is where we have a team of folks who are working on a special project, a special initiative, that their skills are critical to making sure this initiative is completed. The first thing that comes to mind, which we didn't have at the time, a lot of folks were asking for it, was when we were so deep in COVID, and we had all of those, really smart and talented people figuring out all of that and how the university responds. And we could utilize a retention bonus because we need to keep those people on board. Another example might be development, because we have a campaign that we're trying to meet a certain goal, or it might be IT. There might be a new system implementation that is happening, and we need to retain those individuals to make sure that we get to a successful completion for those types of initiatives. So. And then the performance bonus must be tied to specific criteria and quantitative and qualitative goals, right? That's documented in the review. Now, I know folks are going to say, for faculty, we have written incentive plans for faculty, provisions there. And so faculty may not have an annual performance plan. So we do have a mechanism for making sure that faculty are eligible for the performance bonuses as well, even though they may not have, a standard performance review like SHRA and EHRA non-faculty. The performance or the contribution that the individual has that makes them eligible for the bonus must be measurable, broadly acknowledged. So typically not something in an individual unit, but something that has much broader impact, impact in the school, impact across the university. And then you would be, in addition to what is in the performance review, you would also be focusing on, one or more of the following: contribution, collaboration, creativity, and commitment. It's going to be pretty difficult to do a performance review without focusing on commitment because it really takes that huge commitment to get them there. So, but one or all of these criteria would be written into the performance bonus eligibility document that you are submitting or putting forward. And let me just step back a second, because every one of these, so sign-on bonuses, retention, and performance have to be approved by our leadership here in OHR. So our Vice Chancellor and our Senior Associate Vice Chancellor. So, we have a form that you would complete. Your HR person typically would complete on your behalf and submit it. And then we here in EHRA review it to make sure we have all the necessary information. And then we put it forward to our senior executive leadership here in OHR. The bonus amounts that individuals are eligible to receive, sign-on and retention are the same. So an individual could receive up to $25,000 or 20% of the salary of the new position for sign-on. Now, this is whichever is less, right? So 20% or 25,000, whichever is less. Retention, 20% or 25,000 of the employee's current base. So whichever is less. And the performance bonus is 20% or $50,000. Again, whichever is less. For payout, for EHRA, we are able to pay out the bonuses in either one lump sum payment, or you may pay it out in installments. One of the reasons for, because there is a repayment requirement for the sign-on and retention bonuses, then it may be wise to spread that out, particularly over 12 months, particularly the retention bonus. So if in the case the individual leaves the university, there would be less responsibility, financial responsibility on them if they did decide to leave the university. There is a repayment agreement that is required for both the sign-on and retention bonuses, but not performance. And let me just say, with performance bonuses, as you saw earlier, the performance bonuses are tied to the performance for the prior year. So, that individual has already successfully achieved those goals and exceeded those goals. So there would be no reason for the individual to be responsible for repaying the performance bonus. And then I talked about the payout. I will say that for those of you, so we have so far have had a few sign-on bonuses and a few retention bonuses. I do want to point out that the performance bonus should be tied to the annual review process. So typically, if you were to submit a performance bonus request, we would, the folks here in EHRA HR would be looking at the performance review for that cycle as well, to make sure it was completed and to make sure that the information there is consistent with what you are presenting for your performance bonus. So we are extremely excited. This has been something folks have asked about for a long time. So we are delighted that we're able to have this available for you guys in your efforts to try to attract and retain folks to the university. So I'd be happy to entertain any questions at this point that we might have. So let me go to the chat.
We've got lots of stuff in the chat here.
Okay, let's see.
Linc's been answering a couple.
Thanks, Linc.
We did have one question that came to me in the chat, and I think it was around retention bonuses and whether they could be provided to if you receive an offer from a different unit within the university.
No. So okay. we don't compete with each other. So yeah, the retention would be external to the university.
Okay, and then the same question kind of goes, like, if you're competing for one person that's thinking about leaving your unit for another unit, you wouldn't be able to offer, the other unit wouldn't be able to offer a sign-on bonus to incentivize them to leave, correct?
No, and two things about that. If you guys recall from the earlier slide, the individual who is receiving the sign-on bonus cannot have been a university employee. And so, we don't want to create situations where we're competing with each other. We know we do, but yeah, if someone is, leaving your unit to go to another unit, they are already employees of the university. So a sign-on bonus would not be applicable.
Great. Julie says, can you give examples of some job positions that would be considered mission critical under EHRA, or is this based on how the bonus request is presented?
I think both, right? This question came up in one of our earlier presentations. And so I think, when we were going through COVID, right? And we had all of those brilliant folks who were out there trying to figure out our response to COVID, what do we do from a research standpoint? How do we assist our students through this whole process? Any of those things can be considered mission critical. So we don't, in HR, we don't have like a list of, you can't have this position be eligible for a bonus. We would ask you to explain what's happening in your unit, what's happening in the position that does make it so. And then, we would take that initial review and then we would submit it on to Becci and to Linc.
And then Julie's other question, I think you kind of answered, could they have been an SHRA taking an EHRA position, and given they couldn't have been a state employee or a university employee, that's a no, correct?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
The question was, could they have been an SHRA taking an EHRA position? And I'm assuming she means like to provide a sign-on or retention bonus. They can't have been a university employee.
Right. So for a sign-on bonus, cannot have been an employee of the university.
Right.
Yes.
SHRA or EHRA.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions for Vanessa? This is great.
Yeah, there is one question, Vanessa, that is in the chat. Could you talk about like the regular retention process and the retention bonus as far as requiring like proof of an external offer? Because I think that was one that we asked on our team too, but I know that was one of the questions in the chat.
Right. Oh, yeah. So what is good to know is that EHRA is not quite as I don't want to. Adam would probably throw something at me if I said restrictive, so I won't say that. But you guys know, for SHRA there has to be an offer in hand. For EHRA, because folks have said so many times, once that person has that offer, they're out the door. So what we ask for you guys to provide would just be evidence of recruitment. So the individual could be in, the initial interview stages of recruitment. They, depending upon whatever stage they are. So specifically with the retention offer, right, that we have now, the individual at least needs to be in competition for an external offer, right? For the retention bonus, the individual may not yet be in competition for an external offer, but you guys may have awareness that this individual is, ready to leave the university, and they are in a mission critical position. So you want to get ahead of actually waiting until they get an offer and get the bonus on the table. So that's a little bit of a difference, where the retention salary increase, the permanent salary increase, we're going to be asking you to demonstrate for us that that individual is in competition for an external offer. For the retention bonus, we are hoping to get to them before they are in competition for an external offer. And you guys can look back, I think, let's see, it was just when we talk about the type of, the position is mission critical. There's a labor market shortage for this type of position. And if the individual were to leave the university, there would be pretty severe deficits and loss for that position. So for that person leaving the university. So we don't even want to get to that point. So that's where your bonus is going to come in. And then your actual increase is going to come in because this person actually is in consideration for an external offer, but may not yet have an offer in hand as is required for SHRA.
All right, what are the repayment terms, Pyjas?
Right. So an individual, it really is going to be based on the amount of time that the individual is with the university. And so a person, obviously, the longer you're with the university, the less you would have to pay back. So there's a specific formula that would be provided once an individual receives a bonus, so they would understand that, you know. And one of the things that we kind of talk to folks about is perhaps making the bonus over the 12-month period as opposed to a lump sum payment up front, because then there's, you know, less financial responsibility on the employee if unfortunately they do decide to leave the university down the road. But there is a specific formula that we would provide when we have a retention bonus or sign-on bonus in play.
All right. Well, I think that was everything I saw in the chat. Any other questions for Vanessa on the EHRA bonus program?
I would just add that we are very, very excited here in HR about being able to offer this. This has been something we've wanted to have available for a long time. So we have a few folks utilizing it, but I'm sure that as the word gets out, there will be much more. There will be many, many more folks coming forward. So certainly able to have this as an additional recruitment and retention tool.
Oh, final question coming in the chat. Do these include EHRA positions paid by grants?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, well, thanks again, Vanessa, for all of this great
absolutely.
information. So we're going to actually turn to our presentation from Lauren Mangili, who's here to talk to us about campus rec resources available for staff. So welcome, Lauren. Thanks for being with us.
Great, thank you so much. I am happy to be here. Can you all see my screen? All right, great. Let me put this in presentation mode from the Awesome. So good morning. I'm Lauren Mangili, Senior Associate Director with Campus Recreation, and I work with fitness and wellness here in the department, business operations and strategic planning. And I thank you for inviting me here today. This is a great time of year to focus on health and well-being, and campus recreation has so much to offer. Just in case you're not aware, campus recreation is a department on campus that designs and delivers innovative, diverse, and inclusive experiences to stimulate well-being, enjoyment, learning for the entire community. Our why is to inspire all Tar Heels to have fun, stay active, grow, and play together. So I did want to highlight some of the things that are available to employees. First and foremost, we do have recreation membership options. So employee memberships are $12.50 per month, and that can be, you can sign up for that at the One Card office with payroll deduction. We do also offer a family membership, so those are prorated based on the time that the family member signs up. So we do go on an annual basis for the fiscal year, so July through December, and then prorated after in January for the second half of the fiscal year, and then also a summer membership. So again, employee membership is can be payroll deducted, so just $12.50 a month, and that gives you access to all of our facilities. So our facilities include the Student Recreation Center, and the SRC is a fitness facility, includes cardio and strength equipment. We have spaces for group fitness classes, functional training spaces, and areas used for small group training. At the Student Recreation Center, which is located on South Road across from Student Stores. The Ram's Head Recreation Center, another fitness facility, that also has basketball and volleyball courts, an indoor track, climbing wall, and multi-purpose studio. And that is located on top of Ramshead Parking Deck on the east end of Keenan Stadium. Fetzer and Woolen gyms, we offer racquetball, squash, basketball courts, our second climbing wall, and cycle studio. And that is also where we have locker rooms for daily use. And then our aquatic facilities, both our indoor and outdoor pool. Campus Recreation manages a variety of outdoor spaces. And for the outdoor spaces, membership is not required. So you have access to all of these spaces, whether or not you have a membership. And outdoor spaces include the Outdoor Education Center, which is located at the end of Country Club Road. And if you're not aware of where it is exactly, it is just on the edge of campus, 10-minute walk from the pits. So very convenient, and there is so much to do and offer at the Outdoor Education Center. We have a disc golf course, sand volleyball courts, tennis, and it is the home of Carolina Adventures, which is the program for expeditions, challenge course, and climbing. So those three areas make up Carolina Adventures. And then additional outdoor rec facilities that we manage include the basketball courts and paddleball courts down on South Campus across from the Dean Dome, as well as on North Campus. We also have basketball courts and tennis courts behind Connor Quad. So moving on to some of the programs and services with Campus Recreation in the fitness and wellness area, we do offer group fitness classes. We have over 50 in-person classes weekly. Those classes are held at the Student Recreation Center, Ramshead, and the Cycle Studio. Some of the formats include yoga, step, Pilates, strength-based, total body conditioning, Zumba, dance, and a whole host of other classes. The classes are free to all members, students, and employees. And if you aren't interested in a full rec membership, you can sign up for a semester class pass just for group fitness classes, and that's $40 a semester. In addition to the in-person classes, we do have a whole library of virtual on-demand classes, which obviously is available to anyone, and that's you can access those classes by going onto our website and looking at the schedule for fitness offerings. Some of the things that we do outside of the classes that we offer in our facilities, we do frequently get requests from departments that would like to have, and groups that would like to have their own class. And this can be a one-time class or over a certain length of time. So if there's a department that's interested in that, we're happy to try to fulfill that request. Other fitness offerings include our personal training program and our group training. So personal training, you can sign up for 4, 8, or 12 session packages, and that's cost is about $30 per session. And we do have a startup package, which includes a consultation and assessment and one training session to get you started. Heel Fit Group Training is a small group training program that's designed to enhance strength and aerobic conditioning, as well as mobility training. And we offer a semester pass for small group training, a month pass and a daily pass. Other offerings in Campus Rec, you can view on our Campus Rec webpage under Employee Recreation Resources. I do want to highlight some other areas and programs that we offer specifically within aquatics. We do have group lessons and private swim lessons for members and community rec members and community members. So those are for all ages, children through adult, as well as stroke clinics and a host of different events that we offer through aquatics throughout the year. And then I mentioned the Outdoor Education Center and Carolina Adventures. Just wanted to highlight the challenge course, which is located at the Outdoor Education Center. We frequently host departments for team building activities at our Tar Heel Towers, pictured on the right, which is a great thing for departments to do with their staff. We have a dual zip line, which is one of the largest in the nation, or longest in the nation. So great exhilarating fun there. In addition to all of the other offerings at the Outdoor Education Center. I did fail to mention that we do have over 3 miles of multi-use trails out there too. So if you're looking for a place to go and just enjoy nature and be out on the trails, they're for hiking, running, walking, and also biking. So you can, there's all kinds of signage for which trails are out there, and the trails actually connect to the, you can enter from the Outdoor Education Center or from St. Thomas More parking lot. And then from there, the trails can connect to the Botanical Gardens. So more than 3 miles if you really want to add on to it. I did also want to highlight our climbing program. So we do a lunchtime climb for employees on Fridays from 11 to 3, and that is free. So if you're interested in coming out with your coworkers, and if you've never climbed before, don't worry. It is designed for beginners and to teach you all the basics to get you familiarized with climbing. And having talked with several individuals who've taken advantage of it, they have become diehard climbers. They love it. So like I said, there's something for everybody, and we'd love to have you participate in our programs and offerings. So just wanted to open it up and see if there are any questions from anyone. There were links in that PowerPoint, and I think I can share that. So if people want to go back and look at it, the links to the different offerings and memberships, that's there for you. Or you can also go to the campusrec.unc.edu website.
Great. Thanks, Lauren. Yeah, be sure to share that presentation with us and we'll share it with the delegates. Few questions in the chat. For family membership purposes, do one of the facilities include free weight and bench options?
Yes.
Answered, yeah.
Recreation Center, Rams Head Recreation Center both have free weights and selectorized machines and cable machines for strength training.
Excellent. And then how do I sign my department up for zip lining? Great question, Janet.
Yeah, that is, you would contact David Rogers, who is the assistant director for the challenge course, and that information you can get to through our website as well.
David, a former employee forum delegate, so we love David. And then can people who use wheelchairs engage in the ropes course in any way? Great question, Liz.
That is a great question. I think we have, but that would be a specific question for David. Yes, we have been looking at doing an adaptive climbing program too. So there are some things that we're doing with our climbing program.
Great. Would love to see more inclusion and equity on this topic. Great point, Liz. Any other questions for Lauren? All right, well, thank you again, Lauren, for coming out today. And we love hearing about these excellent resources available to staff on campus.
Thank you again for inviting me to be here today.
Of course. And now we turn to Jessica Pyjas to give us an update on other wellness topics. So thanks for being with us, Jessica.
Good morning, everyone, and doing a quick mic check. Can you hear me?
All good.
Perfect. It does not always work like that. It's great to see you all. And Lauren, great to see you as well. February, which is today already, if you can believe it, is American Heart Month. And the first Friday of every February, which is the 3rd, is National Wear Red Day. So even though it may not be all of our favorite colors, if you could go ahead and wear some red and post on social this Friday, that would be wonderful. And the reason for that is because Heart Month, especially Wear Red Day on Friday, helps bring awareness to the prevalence of heart disease as still the leading cause of death in the United States. And it contributes to about 1 of every 5 deaths in the US. So I really want you to focus on prioritizing your health and your happiness this month and throughout the whole year forward. And some tips for your heart health to share and to take home and share with loved ones is 1, stressing the importance of knowing your numbers. You're going to have the opportunity to know your numbers at the Employee Wellness Expo, the Total Wellbeing Expo, on Wednesday, March 15th. Those quick 15-minute screenings start a little bit earlier than the regular expo, so you can beat the crowds. You can sign up for an appointment, but there are usually walk-in times as well. It is limited though, so it's always best to sign up for an appointment. Those wellness screenings start at 9 a.m. and will go till 2 p.m. They'll be located in Fetzer Gym A, where the big exhibit hall will be that day. There you can learn about your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your blood glucose, or your A1C if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic. You also get to know about your body composition, and it only takes 15 minutes. So I encourage you to sign up for that screening. You do have to wait until Friday. We will be promoting that in the WorkWell newsletter. The screening appointments will be available Friday until the Friday before the events. And also, heart healthy tip is to be active. So you just heard from Lauren from Campus Recreation. So I was just going to promote all the wonderful things that she offers through Campus Recreation, and she did a great job of doing that. Just a reminder that there are still on-demand fitness classes. That group fitness semester pass is wonderful if you just want to do the group fitness classes. And then you really cannot beat that employee membership for just $12.50 a month. That is a fantastic price. And strive for 30-minute sessions of exercise 5 days a week, and don't skip strength training 2 days a week. You can do it at home, outdoors, or at your favorite gym. So make sure to prioritize your physical activity. Also, eat smart. I know not everyone is a fan of the name of this program, but Eat Smart, Move More, Way Less Online is still going on, and they are starting their February series on Monday. This is still being offered virtually and is still being covered by the state health plan and most insurances as a nutrition appointment. The group code is GNC 2023 to get any upfront registration cost waived. And those sessions are up for Monday, February 6th through March, and they're offered in the evenings. They meet weekly for 15 weeks to help you eat healthier, move more, and manage your weight. Manage your stress in a healthy way. So focus on positive self-talk. Often we are too negative and we're our own biggest critics. So be kind to yourself and make sure that you're taking breaks, including meditation breaks. There are a lot of meditation opportunities offered virtually. They're as short as 15 minutes or as long as 30 minutes. And they're offered through a Mindful Mondays with the mindfulness and self-compassion meditations, Inhale Positivity, which was featured in The Well this morning. And they're offered every day of the week at various times with the exception of Tuesdays, because I guess we're eating tacos on Tuesdays. But it is offered every day of the week in the afternoon for 15 to 30 minutes. And then also just a reminder that the EAP is available to you. It's easier to connect now more than ever because you can go ahead and make an appointment with just clicking on the computer without having to make that initial phone call, which can be a little nerve-wracking for some folks. Not a lot of us are using the phones for actually having conversations these days. You can go ahead and click on your computer and make that appointment. And then sleep. Don't skip your sleep. Make sure to prioritize your sleep and strive for at least 7 hours of sleep each night. In the Work Well newsletter coming out this Friday, you'll see some links for some on-demand sessions that focus on the importance of sleep, as well as some other topics about using kindness to help achieve personal happiness. If you smoke, please quit or try to cut back on how much you use tobacco and nicotine products, because it really is the best thing that you can do to protect your heart and your overall health. So in-person counseling for tobacco cessation is covered by your state health plan insurance for your primary care provider or behavioral therapist to counsel you to quit tobacco, and also many nicotine replacement therapies, patches, gums, lozenges are covered at no cost. So I encourage you to take those tips with you throughout the month. And then I just wanted to mention the sessions we have coming up in February. We've gotten a great response with our session next week. On February 8th, our topic is 10 strategies for improving your finances. So if that's a topic you're interested in, you can sign up until Tuesday afternoon. It can run from 45 to 60 minutes and is held during the lunchtime hour at noon. On the 15th, we have a new topic called Languishing, Flourishing, and Your Mental Health. So this is it's an interactive session that provides details and helpful ideas and how you can move from languishing through your work and life to flourishing, including an action plan that you can take with you throughout the month. And then on February 22nd, our topic is unconscious bias, so we can be more aware of our own biases and the things we say and do and how we respond to certain situations throughout our day-to-day lives. With the UNC Wellness Program, Wellness Centers Program, they have a session on Listen to Your Heart, which is a virtual seminar, which will have cardiologist from UNC presenting on managing heart disease. That will be next week, February 7th at 10 a.m. And then again, they have their regular caregiving support group. And the state office is hosting Know Your Numbers, a deeper dive into cholesterol on February 21st. So all that great information is on our calendar. I hope you visit it at least monthly, but all that information and how to sign up for things is there. As I had mentioned in the past, we're going to have a greater focus on financial wellness moving forward this year. As I've heard from you earlier, it's a great concern with inflation and salaries. And so some of our tips, we will have a tip every month in our newsletter and hope that you look forward to them. And this month we're focusing on establishing a savings account. I know that people feel like they can't do that, but one of the important things to do is to do it in advance. And you can do that by splitting up and putting a portion or a set dollar amount of your paycheck directly into a savings account every time you get paid. That way you'll have it there. You can start, there's no minimum amount. It could be $10, it could be $25, and you can grow it from there. But know that that is an easy way to just build up that savings account in case an emergency comes up and you need to go somewhere, in case something breaks on your car, or if you want to take a vacation. So know that that information and those details on how to do that, if you're not doing that already, will be available in Workwell. And then later in March, we'll be starting a series of financial wellness topics offered by the State Employees Credit Union. So stay posted in March. We'll share more information with that. They will be available in person, but also be live streamed, so as many people can take in the information as they need. And then February, of course, is a very busy month for us here as we are vigorously planning the Total Wellbeing Expo, which is, mark your calendars, Wednesday, March 15th in Fetzer Hall. There will be an exhibit hall, fitness classes, cooking demos, wellness checks, including mammograms on the mobile bus, as well as extended hours at UNC. Giveaways, we will be recruiting volunteers, and I'll have more information for you as we get closer. But details will be shared in the Workwell newsletter on how to sign up for a wellness screening, as well as a mammogram, as well as a volunteer shift. So I look forward to seeing you there. And the discounts for February include, maybe this month you're buying flowers or a special gift, or you want to treat yourself. So just reminding that you can save up to 35% on flowers and gifts at the Working Advantage site. I hope that you do go there, especially when you're traveling. There's just a lot of great savings there at that site. And then to show your pet some love, if you have a furry friend in the household, to make sure that you can provide the care that you need for them in an affordable way and get some pet insurance for your pet. But you can also save on subscription pet boxes, such as Chewy, and those savings are found at Working Advantage, as well as the Blue 365 discounts available through Blue Cross Blue Shield. So you can save up to 20% off of pet insurance, which, if you've been a pet owner for a while, you can know that sometimes those surprise visits can get quite expensive. So I encourage you to look into that. And that's all I have for today, but it was great seeing you, and let me know if you have any questions.
Excellent. We do have one question in the chat. Charlie asked, could volunteers partake in the wellness checks offered on Wellness Day on 3/15?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I get checked as well if there's an appointment available. It's a quick finger stick. That's the most invasive as it gets as far as like pain level. But it only takes 15 minutes, and it's offered from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So there are lots of time slots available. We'll have 5 nurses there doing those screenings throughout the whole day. So please sign up.
Excellent. Any other questions for Jessica? As always, we will send out your trustee updates to forum delegates to disseminate out in our units. And thank you, as always, for sharing all of those helpful tidbits. And same goes for Lauren as well. If you share your presentation with us, we'll make sure we get that out to delegates as well.
And a few more comments. There is going to be free parking at the Cobb deck. If you've not been to the event before, know that you can park for free if you do not work close enough to Fetzer or the center of campus. And this will be promoted as a non-meeting day. So we're hoping that you do not have any meetings planned that day, and it's considered work time. So don't worry about squeezing all your visit to the expo within 1 hour. So enjoy the event, and we look forward to seeing you there. And there'll be healthy lunches provided at Lenore Dining Hall. They're staying open for this event, and they'll provide some healthy options for you for a discounted price at Lenore.
I'm going to insert my request that it get communicated out widely with the campus that it's going to be a proposed no meeting day well in advance, so folks don't have things pop up on their calendar.
And we will be posting more details this Friday in Workwell. The first Friday in March will be a very big Workwell announcement, but then you'll see in all employee emails come from the division starting in a few weeks, about a month before the event. So know those communications are coming.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Jessica. All right, well, we're turning to the last agenda item we have left, and that is committee updates. I'm going to start this with a caveat that I have to hop off at around 11 to prepare for the open house here in the clinic at the law school. So Keith is going to take it away from me in about 5 minutes. So I'll start with the ones that I know I'm on. The only committee I'm on that I have an update for in particular is the Advisory Committee for Transportation and Parking. Keith and I both got invited to join that process at the end of last year. We have not yet met, but I'm hoping we start those meetings soon. Because I know the Chancellor is eager for that group to get underway, to have recommendations sooner rather than later. And in that regard, Keith and I put a little bug in Kevin's ear when we met with him a couple weeks ago. We saw Duke's shiny new program that is planning to subsidize parking for employees that make under $80,000 a year at Duke's campus, just 8 miles away. Occasionally they do some good things over at Duke, I guess. So we will borrow and steal and see if we can replicate something like that on our campus to remain competitive, because they like stealing away our staff as well. So that was my big update. Otherwise, I'm going to start from the top of the list and we will chat about communications and public relations. Joe and or Shane, any updates from y'all? I don't know if Shane is on the call.
Don't think Shane is on the call. I don't have any updates either.
Excellent.
So I'll get up with Shane and figure out what we need to do next.
All right, book club, Vanessa, is Vanessa on the call? Great question, Arlene. When is the next deadline for In Touch? I think we were planning to do one sooner rather than later. So get your stuff to Shane and or Joe ASAP, and we'll try and pull one together soon. I know there's a book club coming up in February. I think the announcement is getting ready to go out from that.
In March.
Okay.
The announcement went out yesterday.
Perfect. So be on the lookout for that. Next up, we have community service. Jacob.
Hi, basically, January is not a whole lot of updates. We are going to hope to try to do another March Kindness event. We're still selecting charities, although the leading one right now is Pack the Pack, which is a food drive for students. I know it sounds like it's an NC State thing. It's not. But yeah, that's kind of our goal to do that in March. Hopefully you'll be hearing some more of that in February once I get a little bit more details and we figured out how we're going to be handling that.
All right. Blood drive, Laura and or Amber.
Hey, friends. In case I haven't drilled this into your head enough, I'm gonna drill some more. The blood drive will be Wednesday, May 3rd. Yes, it overlaps with the employee forum meeting. Sorry, only a little sorry. But anyway, more information will be coming out soon in terms of signing up for an appointment to donate. We'll also need a boatload of volunteers, so that information will be coming out as well. But if you haven't already, save the date, May 3rd, not a June drive, it's a May drive this time, over in the Dean Dome.
Excellent. Community garden, Arlene, any updates there?
No updates.
All right. DEI, Janet, updates from DEI Council and or the employee forums.
A little bit of both. So just want to let everybody know that DNI had a great meeting with Beth Posner. It was awesome. We were just talking about stuff for the Women's Center, kind of just throwing out ideas. I think we've got a lot of good feedback, so I appreciate that. Wanted to always invite everybody to the next DNI meeting because we are inclusive, which means we accept everybody. So everybody is always welcome. The next one, we will have Terry to come and talk to us about the LGBTQ Center. So again, I think that's going to be another great topic for discussion. One of the things I do want to just kind of put in everybody's ear is we may need to make a statement to talk about the UNC change in the code as far as HR hiring. That's probably going to be a hot topic. I'd rather be proactive than reactive. So that's probably something we're going to kind of work on, just letting the board of governors know how we feel before they vote on it. The vote may happen in a couple of months, but that is definitely one of the things I'm going to rotate to the top of the D&I forum and committee. That's all that I have. Rebecca, did I miss anything? That's my co-chair right there. She keeps me straight.
Nope, we're good.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have. Thanks.
All right, thanks everybody. I'm going to turn it to Keith at this point. I'll stick around muted for a little bit and listen in, but Keith, if you could take over, that would be great. Bye, folks.
All right, see you, Katie. So that is covered. Next is education and career development, and that is Ellie. Is Ellie on?
She had to hop off early, so sorry you get me.
Okay, so it's Laura.
I see the eye roll, Key. I see it. No, we don't have a lot. Just want to preview that coming in April, we'll have applications open for the next round of professional development grants, as well as the Carolina Family Scholarship that will open in April as
well. Next up is executive committee. I can't think of anything. So anyone on the executive committee have an update about the executive committee? Don't think we have anything. So we're going to go on to memberships and assignments. Is Tiffany on? I don't have any updates on that. Okay, there she is. Hey, friend. We have no updates for that. Personnel issues, Mr. Teal and Ms. Hefner.
We had a good meeting at the end of January on transparency in the budgeting process, some conversation continuing about whether we need a resolution as a forum about that, or if there are alternative methods to achieve the same goal. We're currently working on an update to resolution 22-03, which is a sexual assault and harassment resolution. So we've got a couple folks from the committee who are taking the lead on rewriting that or updating that. But if anyone is interested in participating in that, we'd love as many eyes and voices on that as possible. So please send me an email and Leah an email after this meeting, and we'll loop you into those conversations. There's ongoing talk, and I think we're going to have a speaker at the full forum. I don't want to spoil it yet, on affordable housing and that ongoing issue. And then some discussion as well about flexible work assignments and potential equity issues around those. And our next meeting is February 28th. So would love to have more folks there.
February 16th. We have 2 in February.
Oh, we do. Tricked me this month. Thank you, Leah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Recognition and awards, Tiffany and Jesse.
No updates right now.
No updates right now, but people just be in mind, we're in the spring semester, so that will lead to the awards that are coming up. Oh yeah, Katie did point out that I will be leading the exec committee meeting this month, so that's a little bit scary. But we're in the second semester, so Tiffany and Jesse will be needing help. I'm not sure how many people are on that committee, but they may need help reading and reviewing applications and for awards and things like that. Well, nominations for awards. I guess someone could self-nominate, and that's technically an application, but whatever. UNC System Office, there are quite a few of us. I have no updates. We have our next meeting in the beginning of April, so I'm sure some things will come out of that meeting, but we've not met since October. So there's really nothing to update on that. Moving on to university committees, staff advisory committee, which some of you serve on, which some of you serve on. It has been going well. The format is we alternate it in months. If Kevin meets with employee forum, then he doesn't meet with staff, and then we don't have a stack meeting that week. But we have stack meetings in the months in which the provost comes. But a lot of the same things and issues that are covered here, we cover there. So if there's ever anything, just bring it up and we'll make sure it's addressed in as many places as possible. Campus and Community Advisory Committee, that is Katie. She has stepped away. So we'll table that till next time. Carolina Next, Katie. University Day, Katie. EOC Policy, Katie. We'll let Katie catch us up when she can. TFAT and SFAS is Tracy Weatherby Williams. Is Tracy on? Okay, we'll go to the next. Carolina Center for Public Service, Jacob, any updates?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay. DEI Council, Janet, you have an update on that or?
Already went.
Already did it, covered it all. There is nothing from Buildings and Grounds. James had to go to class. Policy Review, Matthew and Rebecca, any updates we need to know about?
Rebecca, do you want to take this one?
Actually, if you don't mind, that would be great. I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. I just already talked, so I wanted to share it. Our big takeaway was that the Environment, Health, and Safety has published new requirements for influenza and COVID-19 vaccinations for employees who work in healthcare facilities. These regulations are being implemented because the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services requires them. There's ongoing discussion about if these requirements only apply to healthcare providers who work in these spaces, or if it applies to, for example, facilities folks who step foot in the building to replace a light bulb. So University Council and EHS are continuing to have conversations with the federal government to clarify who exactly is covered by these requirements. Influenza vaccines are now required for folks who work in these healthcare spaces. COVID-19 boosters and the vaccine is, well, I'll just say the COVID-19 booster is not required, but the university is now required to track who has the booster. Again, only for employees who work in healthcare facilities. And again, there's ongoing conversation about who exactly that applies to. So more to come. And that was like
Thank
30
you.
minutes of conversation. So. And Keith, I see Katie put something in the chat.
Yeah, I'm reading it. Here's one. Yes, as a delegate, as a delegate, you are required to be active on one committee, on your primary committee. You can be involved in as many as you choose, but you have to be active in one. And that means more than just having your name on the list. She says that committee work is where the real, I mean, you all can read this. You all can read, intelligent people, but yes, that is where all the work gets done. So if you've not been as diligent and active on your committee, we would highly encourage you to do so. For real, because you signed up and said you were going to do it. So, yay. Next is Advisory Committee for Transportation and Parking. Katie already gave an update on that. That's me and Katie, and we have not had a meeting yet, but hopefully soon. Yes, Jacob.
Just want to remind that it's not just your committee. You're also expected to go to at least 2 high-level meetings, like the VC meetings and other things like that. It's not just your committee. Like it's important to be more aware of larger issues happening as well. Also, there's one this week, so you can knock one out just by showing up.
What's this week?
It's not this week. The deadline for questions was this week. The actual meeting is next
tomorrow.
week. My apologies.
What'd you say, Matthew?
I'm sorry, I was just saying the deadline for questions is tomorrow, I believe. I defer to Matt
Okay,
Banks
so
on
yeah,
that.
there is no high-level meeting, but the VC rep meetings do count as one of those high-level meetings. And actually, VC reps meetings are really good because like people have to show up and people show up and like they're face-to-face and like have to answer the questions that we ask. So if you have any questions, get those to Matthew Banks, and we will have them ask at the VC reps meetings. Let's see, where am I on my list? We are parking appeals, Chrissy and Tiffany.
I'm not sure if Chrissy was on or not. No real updates there. We, meet periodically, mostly through teams basically, and process those appeals. So, but nothing new as of now. Chrissy has put out the request for them to define our role a little more definitely. Like there's kind of some gray area. So when it comes to us trying to consider appeals, it gets a little hairy. So we're kind of requesting that the Chancellor give us a true guide for how this committee functions. But other than that, no updates.
All right,
Yeah.
thanks, Tiff.
And I would just concur with that we're just working through as we get secondary appeals. We just work mostly through teams to discuss that. It's very helpful that we have like a diversity on that committee, but meaning we have representation from staff, faculty, and we're supposed to have it from student organizations as well, but we've had a lot of trouble getting them engaged since the pandemic started. So we're hoping to get them more engaged this semester. And then just finally, as Tiffany mentioned, I think it would be helpful if they would clarify our charge a little bit. That's been a little bit harder for us to achieve, but we're still working on it. So we're hopeful.
All right. Hey, Chrissy girl. If you all need some help with getting students and student organizations, let me know, because I have a few that I can bully into some stuff. So just let me know, and I will help where I can. Next up is student stores, David and Annetta. I doubt that y'all met, but
Yeah, we did meet yesterday for the first time in a while.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was more just introductions, and they just kind of want to hear what we have to say more than presenting any information that we can provide out to others.
All right. Well, glad it has gotten started and things are going to get rolling. Sounds great. And our last one is Carolina Peer Support Committee. I am going to ask Charlie about that one.
You know what? I knew you was gonna ask me. I don't believe we have any updates at this time. We just had a meeting, I believe, last week, but I don't have any updates. I think Elizabeth DeBose, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly. You're on the team as well. Do we have any updates? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, if we like, we could report at the next meeting on some of the initiatives they're currently working on. They share things such as some of the members of that group get published or get publicity on some of the efforts that they're doing for peer support. I'm not sure what would this forum like us to report back on?
Well, I think I'm on the committee too, but I had to miss the last meeting. But something interesting that would be good for all employees to know is the grants that they have. They're they have these mini grants that people can apply for. Basically, that so if you see some kind of or you think of some kind of, you know, program or activity that would promote peer support, whether that be you know, a fun activity or something more serious, anything like that. They have that. And I'm sorry, I don't have the link right now, and I can share it in an email and get Matt to send it out or something like that. But anyway, anyone who's interested, whether it be faculty, staff, students, can apply for these little mini grants to make your activity happen. So that is something that I think is great that has come out of that group.
That is a really good point, Tiffany, because those cycles are going to be opening up again. Thanks.
Yep.
I found it. I'm gonna put the website in the chat.
Thanks, Charlie.
All right, thank you all. Good stuff. And as far as what this committee, this body wants to hear, pretty much anything that stands out to you all, the good and the bad. You know, just if there's things that we need to help with or things in places where we need to take action, then we're glad to do it. Or if there's things that we just need to support and encourage and highlight, we will do that as well.
I really, on that vein, I really want us to keep our ear on the ground, or ear to the ground, and really have our antennas up about this proposed new school civic discourse, whatever. The question I asked the chancellor about earlier and that he sent out an email is very alarming, to say the least, that the BOT went about it in the way that they did, and even faculty were not even aware. They were actually in a meeting when it was announced, and that people who represent, I guess, who are advocating for this are on Fox News talking about it. It's just not a, you know, it's yeah, we just need to start paying attention to everybody. I feel like that's something that may come down the pipeline that we really do need to just you know, keep on our radars. FYI. Not to freak anyone out or be alarmist, but it was just quite alarming to me. And I feel like it's really going to affect campus climate.
I think it was a bit alarming to a lot of people. One, because it completely circumvented the policies and procedures as to how these things are supposed to happen. And next, it was not like in a BOT meeting, oh, we're thinking about this. It's like, let's go on national television and say, here's what we're doing. That is an alarming thing. So there are concerted efforts, I will say, by some people to install certain people in places that will have a heavy influence on education, not just on the collegiate level, but also in elementary, middle, and high school. So this is something that is alarming, and we may want to keep an eye on, and by may, I mean watch it like a hawk. All right, so we're going to get through the rest of this. First, we're at old business. Arlene, I did see your hand. I'm gonna get through old business and then I'll be right back to you. I have no old business topics that we need to cover. Does anyone else have any residual things from previous meetings or that we need to pick up and see to the finish line? Having none, we will move on to new business. I think what Tiffany brings up is one new business topic that that we need to, don't you never mind me, Arlene. I mean, this this will need to be something that we watch out for, because apparently what I'm understanding is this is going to be a department with 20 to 30 faculty members. So that to me says there's money somewhere to do stuff that could have already been done. So any other new business or new topics that we need to take into consideration while we're here? Jacob.
Mine was less an additional thing and more just a point about that issue. And that is, I don't know if anyone has seen the faculty council's reaction to this, which actually I think is what prompted the communication from the chancellor's office, that not only did it bypass like normal procedures for a BOT, such as bringing up an item that's not on the agenda. Like no one was aware of this item being brought to the BOT before the BOT brought it to itself. But also that seriously goes around the creation of new positions and just university structure that requires faculty approval, which I think was why the chancellor put his out. So it does seem like it's going to become a bigger issue. So I think it's just important that we be paying attention, and if we're able to, I don't know, you just keep aware that there's a lot of movement on the ground on that front is all.
Yes, and I'm not going to say no one knew because the Wall Street Journal did. So for some reason, how do they know? Rebecca, your hand was up next.
I just wanted to put it on the radar, kind of following up on the conversation that I had with Becky Menghini regarding insurance. I just want to make sure that, you know, and I know it's a small N on some level in terms of the number of individuals impacted, but it may be a bigger N than we know. But keeping track of what is going on, and obviously I will be going on with the health insurance appeal that is currently in the Court of Appeals for gender affirming care, and then possibly putting out a resolution depending on how that goes in support of our community who will be negatively impacted if that ruling by the district court's overturned.
Yes. Oh, Jesus. They're having a party in the room beside me. But yes, we will keep that on our radar, and I guess, I mean, right now, I mean, I guess I'm assuming that we can be, and this is not an assumption, we can totally do it, be proactive in what we're doing and not wait. I mean, make our voice heard now if we so choose. That would be a personnel's committee issue that we could take up. So I would suggest talking to Matt and Leah and seeing what they think on next steps in making our voice heard with that. Arlene.
You know you're on mute, right?
Oh, I was just gonna let her go for a little bit.
You know what,
Thanks,
Keith?
Keith.
See, I got you, Arlene. Keith.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad someone pays attention to my needs.
But it was so expressive and beautiful. I was just like,
is there any connection? Has anyone seen a connection between the think tank that suggested university systems get rid of liberal arts degrees, dental, law school, social work, and this new college that's been suggested? Maybe there's no connection whatsoever, but I wonder. Does anyone else know about that?
Yeah, but
I've not heard it.
Think that it would be connected. I mean,
Mind you, it's people went Because basically the reason for getting rid of those is because the graduates from those degrees don't earn much money.
Well, neither do the people that work here, so I mean, that's like no reason to like get rid of something because it makes no money, because one, you don't, okay, I could
Yeah,
be here.
people do not go into such work to make money, as an example. But it's people went, you want to get rid of the dental school and law school and liberal arts? Okay, dude, you didn't think this through.
Yeah. Couple things in the chat. Elizabeth points out the article on the front of the DTH today, which is actually about the creation of the new school that the BOT has said we're going to do, but Kevin pretty much said we're going to do things by the way the procedure says. I mean, I know that he can't come out and just flat out say, no, we ain't doing it. But, you know.
I really like the quote by Eric Mueller. I just couldn't resist.
Stacy, I do not know who made the decision to remove the gender affirming website from UNC. But Rebecca does follow up and say she understands that it was done out of an abundance of caution as to not be targeted. All right. Lonnie said he's heard about what Arlene is speaking about. I had not, so I have to do some research on that. All right, so that brings us, I'm guessing, to the end of new business. If anyone else has anything, are there any announcements or questions? Having none, just any announcements? Any announcements? I have one, but I will save it.
I took the Lean Foundation training last week, and it was very interesting. It was very interactive. I was not bored at all. There were certain other people in this meeting who were also there who might weigh in.
All right. Any other announcements? Beyonce just released her tour dates, in case anyone is
Yes, I just saw it.
Can you send the link, please? Send the
she
link.
will be, the closest she will be is in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I can do that. We going, girl? We going?
Yeah.
Okay, there it is.
How is Keith even still sitting in his chair?
If you have
I'm
AMX
good.
Platinum, I would recommend reaching out to your liaison to see about getting tickets through them as quickly as possible. That's usually one of the better ways to gain tickets.
What's that? Through what?
Amex Platinum holders, the concierge service, can sometimes get tickets without, or they'll wait in the queue for you. So that might be a alternate way to try to get the tickets, because you know they're going to sell out in what, 3 or 4 seconds.
I know they are doing a pre-sale, but yes, she is in Charlotte on July 9th.
Oh, for my birthday, great, beautiful.
No,
I'll be there.
No. I'm sorry, August.
August 9th. Yeah.
August 9th.
Still close enough to my birthday.
So yeah, I mean, that really has nothing to do with the forum, unless we want to make it a group trip, we can. But with that, if there is nothing else, I appreciate you all being here. And we're gonna get on with our day.
Oh, do we
Have
need to
a
make
great
a motion to
Wednesday.
adjourn?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'll
Make a motion
second.
to adjourn.
I triple.
All those in
I'm
favor?
trying to keep it official for you, Jacob. I'm trying.
Child, please. What is he gonna do? Call us back into the meeting?
You might.
Send
I'll
us
just sit
home.
around until it's just me and someone else, and then I'm like, all right, cool. Now that we no longer have a quorum, we're officially disbanded. That's
I
fine.
mean, he can call, that don't mean I gotta answer.
If anybody wants to sit around and listen to me brag, our lone research assistant just matched with ophthalmology for residency.
Great.
Thrilled because
Okay, everyone,
this is a new approach to us having people do this work, and it's paying off.
so just in case anyone wondering, it's been motions and second, we are adjourned, so you all can leave whenever you want to. I mean, the rest of you, if you want to sit around and chatty Cathy, we good. Let's go ahead.
I want
Thank
to eat.
you all.
So bye, y'all.
Bye. All right, everybody have a good one. Have a good day. Thanks, Matt.
Good job. Hey, Joe. Take care, Tyrone. I'm gonna shut us off soon. In just about 10 seconds.